Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session, Equitable Solutions Through Teacher Education by Dr. Nasreen Rahim and Dr. Renee Albrecht. So before we start, I would like to remind a few important points. Please make sure that your microphone is muted all the time during the session. And if you need to ask a question, please use the chat box. This session is being recorded for our colleagues who could not join us in real time. Also, we are using automated Zoom captions during the live event, and we will edit the recording transcripts before we share them with you to be more accurate. At the bottom of your Zoom window, there is a closed caption button, and you will see the live transcript text underneath that button. Select to turn them on or off as you prefer. And now I would like to pass the microphone to Nasreen Rahim and Renee Albrecht for their presentation. Welcome again.
Thank you, Didem.
Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you all are. And I'm Nasreen Rahim, and with me is my co-presenter, Renee Albrecht. Our presentation is on equitable solutions through teacher education. We both, Renee and I, teach in the Educational Instructional Technology Department, part of the Business and Workforce Division at Evergreen Valley College in San Jose, California. So as you can see in my next slide, the 7 courses that we are going to talk about is part of they comprise the Online Teaching and Educational Technology Certificate. They cover a wide range of online strategies and that facilitate the delivery of teacher education activities, includes the theoretical frameworks that support the adaptation of face-to-face teaching and learning strategies to online platforms, new forms of teacher lesson planning for online teaching, the development of digital resources for teachers that support online teaching and learning, and strategies for teachers as they prepare students for online learning and assessment. All this and more with the focus on digital divide and equity. So you can see we name them as Edit 10, Edit 15, all of these courses, and we are going to talk about more in depth and aligning them with all the equitable resources and digital divide. So the next slide, I will show you more on the online, the 19 units of this online teaching certificate called the Online Teaching and Educational Technology Certificate. As we all know that the move to remote instruction due to COVID-19 necessitated this transition from face-to-face or brick and mortar approaches to the new pedagogical strategies for teacher education. And now to prepare educators to bridge the equity gap in post-pandemic. So we use technologies to strengthen student voices. These are the 6 points that we will elaborate more as we go in depth. And so we are going to talk about providing easy access to support services and how it aligns with what we do in the certificate in the courses, using UDL to support student learning, applying diversity and inclusivity, including meaningful content. And I have the number of the courses by the side that really focuses on those areas, and then fostering sense of connection and belonging. It is in all of the courses. We call them EDIT courses, EDIT. And as we talk, we will say the word edit more often. So just to get you guys accustomed to it. So the next slide, please. The certificate also aligns with the college's mission. The college is Evergreen Valley College. Evergreen Valley College shares information and strategies for current and future online teachers to excel in their practice with equity, opportunity, and social justice as the guiding principles. And so with that, I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Renee. and she is going to give you some high-level overview of the online teaching certification program in this competitive teacher teaching field. Thank you, Renee, it's all yours.
Thank you. I'll quick turn my camera on and then I'm going to turn it off because I'm having some bandwidth issues and I don't want to lose you. So hi, welcome. Thank you so much for spending time with us this morning or this afternoon or this evening, wherever you may be. So as we know, the landscape of education is dynamic. There are so many factors that impact what we as educators incorporate into our own teaching and learning practices. Cultural diversity in the classroom is on the rise. From a study that says in 2014, US public schools hit a minority majority milestone with Latino, African American, and Asian students having surpassed the number of white students. In 2044, the US Census predicts that over half the nation's population will be people of color. So this is a trend that will continue and that we need to make sure that we have equity and inclusion in our education system. Learners are demanding and expecting quality choices in a variety of modalities, which we'll talk about a little bit today. They're looking to what fits their lifestyle, which may be online asynchronous, online synchronous, face-to-face, or some combination. Technology continues to provide us with both opportunities and challenges in education. Think back 2 years ago, Zoom and other video conferencing tools were something that were predominantly a business activity. Today, it's pervasive everywhere, including education. This is just one example among many technologies that are becoming commonplace in education and that we can use to help foster equity and inclusivity. We as educators, we're experts in our content topics and delivery, but how do we ensure that we stay on top of our game so that we can be competitive in this ever-changing field? Next, I'll share a little bit about the strategies and resources that Evergreen Valley College has developed to address just that challenge. Faculty engagement, involvement, and support is essential to the success of creating equitable solutions for our learners. From having open and collaborative discussions about best practices and sharing ideas, to having the opportunity to participate in interactive training sessions that address diversity, inclusion, accessibility, and humanizing the learning experience. One thing that we did at Evergreen Valley College was to develop what we call an equity-minded orientation module for our LMS, which is Canvas. But this idea can be, used in any LMS. It is a module that is pre-built and shared and available for all faculty to add to their courses, whether they're teaching online or face-to-face or hybrid. It contains student resources, supports, contact information, and other student services that are common to the campus. For the students, it's a one-stop resource shop. For the faculty, having this pre-developed module is a time saver. It has the most recent college information, the links, the policies, the student resources and services, et cetera, already created that can be customized as they're needed. And with Canvas, as any LMS, typically it is really simple to just import that module and add it to your LMS or your course. Nasreen and I are part of the Evergreen Valley College Educational Technology Department. Nasreen's the department head. I am an associate faculty. We're involved in many of the campus-wide training sessions, as well as course design for our own department. As we developed courses and programs for learners, we asked ourselves the following questions. What are the essential areas that we must focus on to provide opportunities for individuals to create both high quality courses and also support inclusion and equity in education? What solutions can we offer that support educators in providing students with a high probability of success? Meaning, how do we educate and model best practices, equity, and engagement so that it transfers into the teaching and learning of with the teaching and facilitating by instructors and the learning of the students? How can we provide opportunities to improve online instruction skill sets to allow individuals to practice and apply best practices in design and development in line with the concepts of inclusion, equity, diversity, and accessibility? That last question is huge, because what we're talking about is teaching how to design, how to engage, and making sure that we're doing it with equity in mind. Our answer was to develop an online teaching certificate course. So how do you organize this structure? Because I said there's all of these things that we were trying to capture. How do you organize the structure to work towards capturing what you need to provide equitable solutions in teacher education? Here you see a high-level overview of our teaching certification program. The curriculum is categorized into 3 areas: pedagogy and andragogy of online teaching, regulation and legal compliance, and student support and inclusion. These 3 categories align with what we identified to be key areas of need for online educators. While the focus of the program is online teaching, the best practice and strategies can be applied in any teaching and learning modality. Above each of the categories, you see the 8 standards of the Peralta equity rubric. In our increasingly diverse and multicultural society, it's more important than ever for teachers to incorporate equitable and culturally responsive instruction into our teaching practices. Finally, we designed and developed curriculum to meet the needs and outcomes desired, aligning with the categories and the equity standards. While we strive to ensure that our teaching certificate courses are designed and built in alignment with the Peralta equity rubric, we also incorporate the standards and values as topics within the curriculum. Our goal is that our courses model the standards that our students will be able, our students, which are instructors, will be able to build and teach in courses and programs that incorporate these equity standards. All of our courses are also aligned with the OEI course design rubric. So as we design these courses, we are taking all of the best practices that we can find and really refining them in our learning experiences for our teachers. So I just want to take a moment and give you an interactive opportunity. So Nasreen and I would like to share an opportunity for you to post questions, challenges, or comments that you have regarding how we can foster equity and inclusion through teacher education. I posted it earlier, but I'll post it again, a link to the Padlet. If you have questions, please post them here. We're going to also share this slide deck with you either at the end of this session or as a follow-up, and the link to the Padlet will be there so you can actually go back and look at questions and interact with participants. So I'm just going to take a moment and pause. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I am going to then post, oops, give me a second here, technology. I will repost this to the chat for anyone who would like to post a question. Feel free to post it to the chat as well, because then we can just move it over to the Padlet if you want. Okay, I am not hearing any questions. Again, if you have any, feel free just to either raise your hand or pop them into the chat or go out to the Padlet. I'm going to turn it over to Nasreen to share more about the pedagogy and andragogy category.
Okay, thank you, Renee. In order for current and future online teachers to excel in their practice, we look at pedagogy and andragogy of online teaching strategies for a high-quality online learning experience using best practices and proven techniques to provide a successful program that support the goals of decreasing barriers to education, increasing access, retention, and completion, and increasing career pathways in high-demand education. Next slide, please. So, Edit 10, closing the digital divide, we bring in the EDIT courses here, and we talk about a little bit about the EDIT courses, integration of educational technology into the curriculum, and design and develop and manage online courses. So teachers explore how internet and online learning technology combined with pedagogy, computer application, digital media, and web technology tools can be used for teaching and learning. Traditionally, the digital divide in education referred to schools and communities in which access to devices and internet connectivity were either unavailable or unaffordable. Although there is still much work to do, but great progress has been made by educational institutions during the COVID pandemic to provide high-speed wireless access and device access. This course, that is the Edit 10 course, it made teachers cognizant of digital divide and made them aware of thoughtful intervention and attention to the way technology is used for learning, to adopt inclusive and be inclusive on how to use technology as a tool to engage in creative, productive, lifelong learning rather than simply consuming passive content. And now to come to Edit 22, that aims to reduce the barriers that faculty often face when implementing inclusive teaching practices and encourage faculty to take their first steps towards inclusive teaching. Teacher education is essential to keep up to date with new developments in theory and practice, such as the OEI rubric standards, the Online Education Initiative rubric standards that Renee had mentioned. All these courses are aligned with that. This need was intensified during the COVID-19 pandemic as educators had to shift quickly to remote instruction. This course, Edit 22, focuses on innovative approaches for educators in both K through 12 and higher education settings to create effective online learning environments using any LMS. We are at this moment using Canvas. Next slide, please. Now, the multiple modalities of teaching, and Renee also already mentioned about the online, the hybrid, and we go into synchronous, asynchronous, high flex also. So all these transition to various online teaching modalities to allow access for all. So we have a course that's dedicated to that, is Edit 15. In the current crisis, both teachers and learners feel isolated. We've been kept apart much too long. We need to see one another somehow to reaffirm our value and restore our faith in one another. But we are stuck in the tail end of the global pandemic. What can we do about what's wrong, and how can we fix it through synchronous and asynchronous learning modalities with the need to shift both colleges and K through 12 school instruction online? It also helps teachers to quickly re-envision and reimagine when suddenly faced with the necessity of transitioning to online instruction. Not just the pandemic, there can be so many other calamities. So Edit 15 is online course design, provides guidance with how to use digital tools in pedagogical sound ways. It features innovative implementations of digital tools and discusses how online instruction can be facilitated and enhanced using digital tools such as the audio-video feedback, hyperlink to websites, video conferencing, storyboards, and digital storytelling, and much more. Now, Renee will shed some light on regulation and legal compliance of online teaching. Renee.
So regulation and legal compliance. So doesn't sound super exciting, but I promise you it's important. The Pew Research Center shared with us that this abrupt transition to remote teaching and learning caused by the COVID pandemic has amplified concerns about the digital divide. It helped raise awareness of the gaps in student success that may have been exacerbated by socioeconomic inequities. While online learning may be convenient for some students, others risk being left behind if issues related to access and online course design are not consciously addressed. Knowing accessibility and other legal regulations as it pertains to teaching can both minimize your organization's risk and support your learners' needs. Our laws and regulations. Can't I just teach? As educators, we have a lot on our plate: design, curriculum, technology, teaching, and facilitating. And oh yes, ensuring that we are in compliance with pertinent laws and regulations. Staying abreast of regulations and the law as it pertains to teaching and learning is important for a number of reasons. One reason is that the risk of non-compliance can be costly to both you and your organization, but it can also be costly to our learners. If you are a universal design for learning subscriber, things like accessibility are not only good for helping you stay on the right side of regulations, but they often provide learners with a variety of options to consume content and participate in activities. If you follow accessibility laws, you know that it seems every few years there are some new guidelines and regulations which we need to be aware of. As technology changes, those laws also need to be interpreted to address the technology. If you're an educator who's been faced with the challenge of providing information and resources for your students, trying to keep it engaging and low cost, that copyright laws can be challenging. So, how do you keep up with all of those changes? As I referred to earlier, learning experiences enabled by technology should be accessible for all learners, including those with special needs. Supports to make learning accessible should be built into learning software and hardware by default, but they aren't always. As an educator, sometimes you need to intervene. Being able to provide accessibility content is an essential skill for all educators. The approach of including accessibility features from the beginning of the development process, also known as universal design, is a concept well established in education. Think about modern public buildings. They include features such as ramps, automatic doors, braille on signs to make them accessible by everyone. In the same way, features such as text to speech, speech to text, enlarged font sizes, color contrast, dictionaries, and glossaries should be built into educational hardware and software or your design to make this learning accessible to everyone. Another area that we as educators need to stay on top of is copyright laws. The laws and regulations can be complex and confusing. When is it okay to use copyrighted material? When should you avoid it? What are the risks or consequences of non-compliance? And sometimes they're very expensive. These are questions for which we need to know the answers, regardless of the modality that we teach, online, face-to-face, or some combination. Part of the certificate program has 2 courses that address this. The first is creating accessible content, which we call Edit 23. It's a 3-unit course addressing the theme of inequities with regard to technology access and accessible design. The next is copyright and creativity, and that's a 2-unit course where we address and apply the laws of best practices of copyright and fair use. Additionally, we also discuss how to help students find creative work that is free and legal for them to reuse and share. Nasreen, I will turn it over to you to discuss student support, equity, and inclusion.
Thanks, Renee. Yes, student support, equity, and inclusion. How can we offer an equitable solution for educating teachers to provide students with a high probability for success? Next slide, please. So equity and gender, closing gender gap through women in STEM. So STEM fields are for girls and boys at the same rate. That's what Edit 26, where we explore gender approaches to learning and the differences in learning styles. We establish awareness of resources for teachers and parents to support girls in STEM, and explore the obstacles girls and women face in the pursuit of education in STEM. Next slide, please. Now we talk about equity in resources, zero textbook costs, ZTC. That's what Edit 27 does. Here, teachers develop better workflows and streamline the process of integrating open education resources, OER, into their courses. They learn to review OER training materials from various institutions, identify useful content from those materials to remix, revise, and redistribute in their courses. At the same time, I just want to mention that we as the teachers or the developer of this online education and educational technology certificate, we also practice what we preach because the entire certificate is OER. Next slide, please. Now with that, I would like to mention that those who are from California, you are all, you know, the CVC OEI, the California Virtual Campus OEI approval process. Evergreen Valley College is part of the consortium. And so all the courses are peer online course reviewed by the OEI Education Initiative. And I'm not going to talk about it because you have a lot of presentation from Online Education Initiative and CVC. But those who are aware of it, that this certificate is featured in the Certificate of Achievement, offering a fully online pathways. It is in the CVC website, and the links are here. And we are going to be sharing the PowerPoint presentation as well as the brochure with you, and we'll put it up on the chat. And so you can visit these websites, and then also you will be attending the presentations. So I just wanted to inform that this certificate is there. And also, if you do not make, just to make mention that if you are interested to taking courses independently, you can do that as well. And if we go to the at the end, we will have the information for registration, counseling with pathways, and also contacting me as the lead instructor. So with that, I would like to invite you all to the Padlet for challenges, questions, and comments from the audience. Thank you. And I'll make myself visible. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, oh, awesome. So that we have a couple questions out here. If you haven't had a chance to post a question, please feel free to jump out there and add them. What we wanted to do is save a little bit of time because we typically do have some questions and some comments. So really the remaining time that we have is yours and ours to have a discussion.
Yeah, I have the first question here saying, how often do the courses run? They run every semester. That means in spring, fall, summer, summer as well. But in spring and fall, we offer the entire, all of the courses. And the second question is that, yes, you can take, as I mentioned, just one course that fits your need, they can be taken individually. Okay. The learning style differences. Okay, so we will be mentioning the learning style differences for female and okay, describe the differences. So should I just put that in here in writing? What are the, okay, so this one will be putting it in writing, and where is more information? So we are going to put in the chat the brochure, so that I can so we'll put the brochure in the chat. I will upload the brochure in the chat, and okay, so the free resources, we will put that also in writing up there. Teacher training course based on, thank you, appreciate it. And the cost, okay, so that also we will put it here. I don't have the cost with me right now at this moment. I had it before, but right now, for some reason, I don't have it. Okay, and to share. Okay, so.
And I would just, I'll add, addressing where the question of where do we find good free resources to use in our courses that we use. We spend a tremendous amount of time talking to experts, vetting information, you know, making sure that what we are providing in the courses are recent, relevant, and, you know, and align with both best practices and the rubrics that we use. As part of the OER course that is available, we have a process in there to help you do the same. You know, help you figure out how to vet your resources, where to find resources. There's even a section on if you want to develop your own OER and you want to publish a textbook to use in your course, of really how to get started to do that. You know, obviously in one semester we can't, it takes longer than, you know, that to teach you how to do it and to write it, but we really try to give you a great framework to move forward in developing your own OER. I'll give you a couple of seconds. If anybody else wants to post a question either to the chat, that would be great, or here on the Padlet. As Nasreen mentioned, what we'll do is we'll fill in the answers on this Padlet, and then we will include it with either a follow-up or the link to, we'll share the presentation with you as well. Oh, here. Are modules available for everyone? Great question. I'm going to go ahead and add that. So the question in the chat says, are our modules available for all? And do you, by that, if you could clarify it, are you asking if anyone can take the courses? If that's the question, yes, there's no prerequisites to our courses. And they are all 100% online, so you can take them from anywhere. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Can you can hear me, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Because those modules, because I'm from San Diego and we are just developed a module also similar to what you have, but a little bit, a lot different. A lot different. And we put it in the after we're in the DLAC project. So once we present, we're going to have it in the Creative Commons in Canvas. So I heard you say that you did it in Canvas. So that's what I was thinking, you know, is it going to be available in Canvas? Can we check it out? Because your resources, that sounds really great, because that way people don't have to redo it. I mean, everyone's trying to revamp everything, and I mean, it sounds phenomenal. So, I mean, just so we can take a peek.
That's an interesting thought. We have not published it as a Creative Commons resource. Right now, it is a 4-credit course through Evergreen Valley College, but you raise an interesting point about sharing some of the information through through Canvas Commons, just to kind of, you know, share info. So thank you for that comment. And
well, especially that you said that you have it ready to go, that instructors can just pop it in their module, which now that's a feat in itself, but that's awesome.
Are you talking about the
template?
The template. Oh, absolutely. Yep, that is exactly what we do. We have it out in Creative Commons.
Oh, okay. Do you have that? Are you going to list that so that, or how do we find it? And do we Google your name, or do we search your name?
Right now, it is within Evergreen Valley College.
Gotcha. Okay.
But again, great idea for sharing. Let us think of how we can do that. And we will include that. Actually, I'm going to add a note on the helpful resources to share, and I'll write equity minded.
I think that would be a hot ticket, especially since we're all in it. You know, that's what we're doing.
Right. And it frees up that time for instructors not to have to worry about finding all of that information and finding their most recent links and the most recent policies, because it's there. Yes, so we will figure something out with that. And if we can't get the actual module, we will definitely share, because everything in that module is Evergreen Valley College, right? So you
but if you have the resources like ours, we have, ours, like you talked about accessibility, and you talked about it should be already in a Microsoft or it should be in a Mac. We have that listed. We already did a spreadsheet for just the common person, how to get it. So that will be
okay. The equity minded orientation module for us is student facing. So I think what you're talking about is something that would be faculty facing, right?
Ours can be both. I mean, it can be either who wants to use it. We're using it that way. But yeah, no, this sounds great. Okay, enough. I don't want to take your time. Your time is precious. So awesome. You wrote it down. Great. Good job.
All right, let me go back.
I'm trying to get the upload the online teaching, and just give me a second. I should be able to upload that.
Nasreen, they ask you to put the flyer.
Yeah, I'm trying to put the
so whenever
flyer.
you have time, if you don't have time, if you can't find it now, that's totally fine. We can share it with all the participants.
Oh, I had it just right in front of my something. I don't know where it's gone.
Also, Rob Brown just made a comment about making your course available public. In the Commons, using Canvas Commons, you can make it public or make
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, because this is a brand new journey and adventure for us. So any feedback will be so valuable.
Absolutely. And I see that we're achieving our goal already with this conference, like sharing ideas and inspiring each other. So that's perfect. Thank you everyone for sharing your ideas and questions. Thank you. Any final questions that we can get through Padlet or chat box? Oh, Pam, that's a great idea. Pam is saying, will you post the flyer to the Padlet? So
yes, actually, that was exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, So thank you. Perfect.
Since they have the link for the Padlet. Yeah, that's a great idea. Nasreen and Renee, thank you so much again for running this session, sharing all wonderful ideas with us. I mean, building teacher training courses based on Peralta Online Equity Rubric and CVC OEI. I mean, I believe that would solve all the problems, equity problems, achievement gaps happening in online classes, right? So thank you so much for inspiring us with that. And I see that audience is so excited to learn more about it. Like they're asking sources, websites, flyers, which is amazing. Thank you very much. Everyone, our next session is in room A. We're going to listen to our featured speaker in room A. So hopefully you have the Zoom link. If you don't have it, please look at our schedule or website. I'm putting it in the chat box again. And we hope to see you there.
Thank you for
Thank you
having us
all.
today.
Thank you.
Great job, everyone.